As we witnessed federal immigration enforcement ramp up in the months after President Trump resumed office, there have been a lot of questions around due process. An important part of that process, a place to put people with questionable legal status while their cases move forward. We've tasked Mercedes Hernandez with learning all she could about federal detention centers in our area.
The need for detainment spaces has increased under the Trump presidency, and evidence has popped up in and around Austin. Once occupied at times by congressmen and a president, the J.J. Pickle Federal Building in downtown is being used to house detainees. And in recent months in Pflugerville, protesters rallied outside this building with razor wire and Homeland Security vehicles outside.
What is this place?
A source close to ICE confirmed it's being used as a processing and temporary holding facility for undocumented people pending adjudication. At an April conference of border sheriffs in Austin, we heard gratitude for those federal operations.
I'm very limited on bed spaces. I would have to find a county that would take those inmates at local tax dollars cost. Not the state, not the federal government. This would cost my tax dollars to pay for these beds.
But it's hard to ignore history when talking about the T. Don Hutto facility in Taylor.
It was built as a medium security prison by the state of Texas. This is when Ann Richards was still governor.
Taylor native Jose Orta remembers when the razor wire first went up.
It was sort of invigorating and very scary at the same time.
He is a longtime member of the local chapter of the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, one of many groups to protest the center since it started operating in 2006.
We found out that they were holding families.
That changed to just women after the ACLU sued ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and CoreCivic, the private company hired to run the center, because of the living conditions in 2007.
A former worker at an immigrant detention center is out of jail tonight, accused of fondling women detainees.
Over the next decade, there were 3 accusations of improper sexual activity between guards and detainees there. ICE reported firing 1 guard to Williamson County. A second got a 10-month federal prison sentence for groping women in custody. And the FBI investigated a 3rd case. No one was charged. Pressure from human rights group Grassroots Leadership over that last case led Williamson County to end its contract agreement with ICE and CoreCivic in 2019. As a result, the sheriff's office lost its ability to inspect the center without notice.
If this facility closes, what happens to the women who are housed there?
What started was a new partnership between ICE and CoreCivic. That contract runs to 2030. ICE released the number of detainees the facility held over the last fiscal year. At T. Don Hutto, there are no women listed at all. Combing through the last few years, data shows the facility stopped taking women in 2022 and started taking in men. We asked CoreCivic about the switch and how emergencies and assaults are reported. Our questions were deferred to ICE. A spokesperson with the federal agency said ICE is committed to ensuring that all those in its custody reside in safe, secure, and humane environments under appropriate conditions of confinement. Law enforcement at the border say the need for detention centers is crucial and at times in flux.
I have 48 inmates at a processing center for the Valverde Center, and we've been told that it might close. If it does close, it's going to put my county in a real bind.
But as long as they stay active, activists will continue keeping close watch.
We're back to fighting it again. It creates fatigue amongst people out in the community.
Mercedes Hernandez, KXAN News.
On the ICE webpage that lists the agency's processing and detention facilities by state, the Pflugerville facility and the J.J. Pickle Federal Building are not listed. We asked ICE about their status, and we'll update this story online.